Welcome to Daddy vs. Doctor. Here are your hosts, pediatrician Dr. Scott Cohen and comedian Sebastian Maniscalco.
All right, welcome to Daddy vs. Doctor. Today, we're going to jump into the mailbag right off the bat here. And you had a question that you wanted me to ask you, and you wanted also my opinion on it?
No, I was just reading through our mailbag, and I just thought this was an interesting question. I wanted to hear your response.
Okay.
We're going to jump right into the bag.
Because this just happened to me.
That's what I figured.
My wife and I have a healthy and active sex life, but we are worried about our kids finding out. We try to be discreet, lock our door, but sometimes they hear noises or walk in on us. How can we explain to them that what we are doing and why it's normal and natural?
I didn't know you sent in your own questions to the mailbag. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's great.
Did kids totally ice your sex life like it has mine? Help a brother out. Joey P. from New Jersey. Sounds like he's fucking in front of his kids. No. So, I mean, I'll be quite honest. Have Lana and I has our sex life decreased since we have kids? Absolutely. Just because of, I mean, to be honest with you, if we were going to get personal, POP. I mean, we used to just like 2 PM, you know.
Oh,
just
yeah, good for you.
Spontaneous, because, you know, we don't have like normal jobs or be at home and like, let's do it. But now it seems to be somewhat of like a orchestrated, planned out maybe, although we did a little spontaneity. This was about 2 weeks ago. And
on the Toradol or off the Toradol?
Well, it was for those people that have sciatica out there, try having sex on sciatica. It limits your ability to do anything, really. I ain't doing much. So it was this was maybe 4 PM. We closed the doors, didn't lock them, and Caruso walked in, but he didn't know what was going on. Yeah, because we were just in the bed with the covers, and of course Lana don't know the shit, you know. And I'll go, he's in the room. So, you know, we kind of just.
Yeah.
And he came up on the bed, and it's just awkward. You know, kid is, and I'm like, oh, what's up, buddy? You know, both naked, can't do nothing. And he didn't notice, and then he left the room, and we picked it back up again, which was shocking. That normally would halt any boner. But is it normal to go daddy and mommy? I mean, like, have you ever been caught?
Have we ever been caught? I don't know that we've actually, I feel like there's been close calls, like things finished and then all of a sudden we thought everybody was asleep and in walks, you know, one of the girls and we're like, whew, that was close. Were they sitting outside the door? Like,
I would assume
but,
so.
I mean, you know, since we've only had sex to conceive the 2 children, no, I'm kidding. You know, it's interesting when our oldest found out, I think I told you this, it was a very interesting reaction. And we thought we're open about everything. When she finally found out, or outwardly, like it was mommy and daddy do have sex, and it was told to her by her younger sister, like, obviously this is where it happened. She got really upset. Like, her response was that, wait, she couldn't fathom that. It was like finding out that, you know, the Easter bunny isn't real. It was a really interesting response. She wouldn't talk to us. She wouldn't look me in the face for a couple of days. I was like, Aubrey, you had to have known that this wasn't just to have you. This is what happens when people love each other and all these things. And then, but it took a little digesting. It was interesting. I wasn't expecting that response.
It is a shock, I think, when kids find out. I knew something was going on in my house growing up when, and I don't know what my mom was thinking, but they'd be upstairs and I'd be like, it's kind of strange. And this would be during the day.
Wow, you and
Yeah,
gay sex in your family. It must be a genetic thing.
It's in our DNA.
Wow.
But my mom used to come down and it looked like somebody just slapped the shit out of her. Like there was no like putting herself back together. She just comes down, all right, I gotta make you guys dinner. Like, Ma, you want to like put your hair together? You know, like it was just all right. But yeah, that's weird when you're like, hey, my mom
It is.
and
It does feel like more of an orchestrated. You have to think. What do you do on vacation? Is there sex on vacation?
Not really. No. I mean, it's the proximity of the kids. It's it's not possible.
No, exactly.
It's not possible. Plus, you want to be a little bit more free. You don't want to like. I remember. I don't even know if I should tell you this.
As if I was
When
there.
you're trying to have secrets, I call it secret sex.
Yeah.
Where it's like, just let me, get a few in, but you can't really get into it. It's like, it's difficult to do on vacations.
It's like sick sex.
Sick sex?
When somebody's sick, but you still want to have sex. So you spoon, so they're breathing the opposite direction.
Oh, jeez. I'm sorry. I've never looked at my wife with a runny nose going, I got to get into that. Sick sex. It's not, that should be called sick sex because the person's ill. It should be called you're sick in the head because you want to have sex with somebody with 104-degree temperature. Jeez. Would you have one over there?
Let's see. I got one. All right. What do you do for this? My 10-year-old daughter is very smart and curious, but she also asks a lot of questions that I don't know how to answer. For example, she recently asked me why the sky is blue and what happens after we die. How can I handle these difficult topics without confusing or upsetting her? How do you deal with your kids' questions that make you uncomfortable? Do you have any tips on how to explain complex or sensitive concepts to children? Megan in Ohio. It's a good question.
Okay, so like, a lot of these questions I don't know the answers to.
No, I don't know that there's one right answer for a question like this. What do you do? But you know everything.
Well,
sky blue and
Serafina asked, "How do we see?" And I said, "You open your eyes and shit just comes in."
So you don't lie. You just do what you think.
I don't have the correct. So could you tell us how?
I know it's a hard concept. It would be a very difficult concept to put in kids' terms.
Well, here, just in general. And I don't know that this is right. I just remember hearing this or reading it. When an image comes in, like your image,
right,
when it comes into your eyeball,
yes,
isn't it backwards?
Yeah,
or upside down,
and then your brain flips it.
So I'm seeing you. I'm seeing you upside down, but when the image comes in, my brain.
Yeah, I mean, the image just comes into your eyes. It goes through a nerve to the back of the brain, and then the image, and then it tells your brain what you're seeing, and that's how you see. But you're right. It's so abstract a concept for somebody to understand without knowing the specific.
I don't even know what that just said.
Right, without understanding the specific pathway. So, but no, that's it. When you talk to kids about it, do you try to get into like the exact science of it, or you just give an answer?
No, anything I am telling my kids is all general.
Right.
Another question she asked is, how does a bird stand basically on a telephone wire? Like, how does that happen? How do they balance?
Oh.
And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, when I balance on a balance beam, I use my hands to help.
Oh, that's good.
They don't have hands, or they're not putting their wings out. They're just, so I said, they got strong feet, right? No.
Right. Well, actually, that's probably part of it, right? They're clutching with their feet like fingers.
Do you know how a bird? Do you know?
My guess is that they're grasping with their feet. Yeah.
Strong feet.
I think that's a good idea. So I think giving your opinion without obviously the point is you're not lying. You're giving what your thoughts are. I think it's a great way to bounce it back to the child. What do you think? Because it gets them thinking about different ideas, whether they're right or wrong. And now we have such, access to technology and information. It's also good. You know what? Let's look it up together. Let's read about it, which we never had when we were kids. I think people just lied to us and just told us what it is.
Well, when we were growing up, if somebody asked a question, someone in the family, let's say if I asked a question to my mother didn't know, and she would go, who's Uncle Frank knows that.
Yeah, that's my father-in-law.
Yeah.
They call him Ask Pap Pap. We got him a shirt one Christmas that says askpappap.com. Because if you literally ask him anything,
Hold on.
yeah.
Pap?
Pap Pap. It's like grandpa, but it's Pap Pap is what they call him.
How,
I don't know. One of my kids probably came up with it. Pap Pap.
How do we go from grandpa to Pap Pap?
So let's. All right, let's.
Go ahead.
That's no. So, but he actually honestly knows if you ask him why is the light come out white? He'll tell you about the incandescent light bulb and exactly how the chemical reaction. So he truly knows everything about everything. It's like asking Google. Mm-hmm. But you're right. Everybody had a family member. You're a comedian. You know every joke, right? You know the joke about the dad is working on the old TV and the son comes up to and he points to the top and he says, sticks. And the dad goes, no, it's an antenna. And the kid goes, sticks. And he's like, no, it's antenna. And he says, what's an antenna, Dad? And he goes, well, it's the light comes in, it's a stick, son. So that I think that's what we do. Obviously, I don't tell jokes as well as
that's
you.
Like me taking a 3-year-old and diagnosing his symptoms and telling him he's got COVID. That just stay in your lane.
Wait, can we go back to the Pap Pap thing? What names did you give grandparents and who named them? Because this is always very interesting. Everybody's got, a Meemaw, a grandpa. It used to be grandma and grandpa, but now nobody's grandma and grandpa. They all have different names. So we have a Pap Pap and an Emmy on one side, and my parents are Paga. Because my oldest was the first grandchild and she never said grandpa, she called him Paga. So then every other grandchild had to adopt that name and call him Paga. So I think it's the first grandchild that gets to name everybody basically.
So growing up, there's this grandma and grandpa.
Yeah.
Their names.
On both sides?
Yeah.
Oh, so grandma, grandpa, nanny, and papa.
Okay.
All right.
I did a joke about this years ago about his name is, this could be for not even grandparents. It'd be like, my name was Paulo, but my sister was so young she called me Papa, and now my name is No, if the kid is calling the person the wrong name, we correct them and go, no, it's not Paga.
Right.
It's grandpa.
Right.
Right? Okay.
That's funny, yes.
So, and the joke went, Meemaw and Peepaw, right? That's grandma and grandpa. And I go, it's a disgrace. The guy fought in World War II, and now his name is
right.
People.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's like a Kelly Clarkson song. It's like a country song.
Yeah. So we had no names, no different names. And you must be seeing this in the office, which I've never understood this either. The parents named their child Mike. Let's say Mike Brian Smith.
Yeah.
But they call him Brian. They call him the middle name.
Got it.
Do you see this a lot?
Yeah. Why don't you just name him the middle name?
Yeah. What's going on?
Yeah.
Why they? We named him.
Or they just come up with a totally different name.
Yeah.
This happened the other day, and I can't remember that. But I walked in, on the chart it says Andrew. I said, "Hey Andy, Da-da-da. And the mom goes, it's Andrew. Okay. I didn't do it to be offended. I thought we were, so you gotta do it. But I've also had the opposite where I've like said the name on there, like, no, we don't call him that. We call him.
See, that's why I couldn't be a doctor, because if I'm, hey, what's going on, Andy? And she says, Andrew, I go, hey, lady, right out the door. Right? This is my office.
You know what one of my pet peeves is, and now everybody's going to know, and I don't know if this is happening everywhere, and I feel like it must be generational. I was talking to some people about this. So I have a lot of staff members who call me Cohen, not Dr. Cohen. Not Scott. They just yell Cohen, like across the room. Cohen. I don't care about the doctor title, but in an office setting, it doesn't sound right when somebody across the room in front of other people yells, Cohen. You know, it's like what you would do out on a football field or something like that. You can call me Dr. Cohen, call me Dr. Scott, or call me nothing. Doesn't it? It sounds harsh, right? Or is it just me?
Well, this is the problem this brings. If I'm in with you,
yeah,
and I got my 2 kids,
yeah,
and someone from your office comes in and goes, Cohen, you got a line 2. When
yeah,
I go, whoa. You know,
okay, patients have, it's happened, and I've looked at the patients looked at me.
Is this guy even a doctor?
Yeah, patients have looked at me with a weird look saying, why are they doing it? Yeah, but it's not malicious because it's happened with many people over and over again, even after I've made a comment about it.
Yeah, well,
that I just wonder if it's something that are we calling people by their last names now? Just randomly?
No, I would say to that person who's calling you that, 11 years of school. You use doctor. Now here's something that this is showing my ignorance. You are a doctor. What's the next step? PhD?
No, totally different paths. You can be I'm a doctor. DR is a doctor of medicine.
Okay.
A PhD is a doctor of whatever they study. So you could be a doctor of philosophy, a doctor of mathematics. So it's just, I'm a doctor who went to med school. There are PhDs and other type of doctors that went a different pathway.
Could you be a PhD of pediatrics?
No. If you went to medical school, you're a medical doctor. That's a different degree than a PhD is a totally different pathway.
What, isn't there something other?
So my father is a doctor. He's not a medical doctor. He's a doctor of education. So he got his PhD studying education.
Is there another level?
I mean, doctorate's typically the highest. There's masters, there's doctorates, and then there's other pathways of other things, but doctorate's usually the highest.
All right.
Like, what are you a doctorate of?
Nothing.
Comedy studies?
Not even that. Okay.
Would you ever teach comedy?
You can't teach it.
No?
It's just either you got it or you don't. It's just nothing. Come on. It's like Michael Jordan had the God-given talent, but worked his ass off to let that talent show.
Right.
Comedy, it's like you either have a funny, but it's like no, teach.
Would you give back to your community with some knock jokes?
Here we go.
What you got?
Aloha, buddy.
Okay.
Buddies. Mm-hmm. My gifted 5-year-old son argues with me constantly, curses frequently, and gets into physical fights with anyone in his path. Now, just hearing that alone.
Yeah.
I would say, does he have parents? Is this normal boy behavior or signs of something more concerning? Gentle parenting hasn't worked.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem.
I need your help, Scott and Sebastian. Tessa in Tennessee.
Why is she saying aloha?
I have no idea.
All right.
So...
Yeah, this is not a medical
issue. This is not. We ran in this with Caruso. Not so much the fighting and the cursing, but boy, very active. didn't want to get dressed, didn't want to do this, going to do that. And I got to tell you, when we went to Utah and our kids were playing with a lot of different kids.
Yeah.
Because as parents, you don't even know, like, are we doing this right?
Right, until you see the other ones.
And then I started seeing the other ones, and I was like,
You're like, we're winning.
I was like, wow, we are so far ahead of what else is going on out there. And I'm like, the behavior could be corrected, but what most parents don't understand, and I believe this wholeheartedly, is this is a 24/7 job. Mm-hmm. You can't take a day off. You got to constantly be on the kids, constantly.
Right.
I mean, last night we had the cousins over, and we exchanging gifts. So Cruz opened the gift, and I said, go around and hug everybody that hug my entire sister's family, say thank you for the gift, thank you for the gift. He opened Grandma's gift. You think you would go, okay, let me go hug Grandma now, right? And no, you got to burn it into his skull, yes. Right? Uh-huh. And if you miss that opportunity, that's just more work that you got to do in the future. And it's almost exponential. It compounds itself, but before you know it, you got a gifted 5-year-old. What do you mean gifted? Mm-hmm. Gifted. He's cursing. He's beating the shit out of people. And
you're right.
What's gifted about that?
It starts at home. It starts at home.
It starts at home.
Somebody recently said to me, we use gratitude loudly in our house. And it's exactly what you said. If somebody gives you something, you say thank you. You say please. Because if you don't do it in your house, when you leave your house, you're never going to do it. It's that routine and repetition. If somebody's cursing flippantly at home and you don't correct it, then they're going to do it in front of their teachers. They're going to do it in front of their grandparents. It has to start, like you said, with that behavior at home.
Yeah. So Tessa, listen, all this is in good fun, but tighten the reins at home. The cursing has got to stop. We have a thing over here, what we're doing, because Daddy tends to curse a lot.
You got a jar?
You got a jar. Uh-huh. I'm up to $61. Wow. 61 times.
You do a dollar each one? That's a lot, not a quarter.
$61.
Do you mentioned other kids. So when you go on play dates, vacation, when you get back in the car, do you talk about, you see Johnny, you see their family?
Yeah, but my wife's never on board. Like, I'm always going,
she's always defending that family?
She's like, well, never like, yeah, did you see it? Nothing. It's like,
no, that's the best conversations. It makes you feel so good.
I give you an example. That's hard. I give you an example. And we might have to cut this, okay. But this is probably going to go viral. We went tubing. Uh-huh. There's a child hill, 1 to 5. Okay. There is a adult hill, 6 and up. Okay. We went on the child hill with Caruso. Okay. But Lana goes, let's go on the adult hill with Caruso. I go, it's 6 and up. She's like, who cares? Mm-hmm. It's people here that work here don't give a shit. Now, would you do that? Like break kind of the rule of like going on the adult hill opposed to staying on the kiddie hill? What's your take on?
Aaron wouldn't. So therefore we wouldn't. I think,
Aaron wouldn't go and take your kids.
She would not disobey rules. She said, this is 1 to 5. This is what it's supposed to be. We do not move to a different one.
Okay. Well, I'm Aaron.
Yeah.
I stick to what's posted.
Yeah.
But Lana's like, let's go. And I'm glad Lana did that because we had a ball on the adult hill. Right?
Yeah.
Now, we were with 2 other kids, mm-hmm. and the person that was with the other kids was their uncle.
Okay.
He don't have kids.
Mm-hmm.
These kids are acting up. Is it okay? And have you ever done this? Mm-hmm. Have you ever reprimanded other people's kids for the behavior? Or do you just sit there and go, eh?
If their parents are there, no. If I'm in charge of them for the day,
you're not in charge.
No,
it's just
no. I find myself biting my lip, especially if their parents are there, even if I'd want to, unless it affects my own children. So if they're doing some behavior that is negative, then you intervene. No, we don't talk like that to each other. We don't. So if I can do it in a way that encompasses everybody, but I don't know that I've singled out that child if I'm not in charge with them. It's a hard place to be in.
I was in that place, and it was extremely hard for me to keep my mouth shut because it wasn't really my place to say anything. But I've been in scenarios, whether it be at a park, kids acting up on a swing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get on the swing with Serafina, or this kid is, there's always a kid that's being rambunctious and out of line. And I'm always the person that wants to dive in on that situation.
You ever turn it around? You ever say to Serafina, see how that child's acting? We don't act like that.
Get in the car,
it's a good lesson.
I said, you see how they acted?
Right.
Yeah. We don't do that in our family.
Right.
Because you look like a fucking idiot. And then she's like, $1.
You'll be a millionaire.
My 38-year-old gumball machine produced a neurotic baby girl with persistent vena cava. Vena cava. White lung.
Wow.
Late diagnosed hip diaplasmia. Dysplasia. Wow.
Uh-huh. Hip dysplasia.
Diaplasia.
So hip dysplasia. So hip dysplasia is? So your hips aren't strong in the socket; they're loose.
Okay.
So if you're a breech baby, used to be specifically breech females are the 2 risk factors. Then you do a hip ultrasound when the baby's 6 weeks old to make sure the hips are strong. And when you see us examine babies, we're always pushing on the hips and rotating them. We're actually trying to dislocate the hips to see if they're loose, and then you would. If they are, you put them in a harness to.
Have you ever dislocated a kid's hip and testing the whether?
Yeah, you'll feel it. You'll feel it click. It doesn't stay out, but you'll feel like a click or a clunk.
Okay.
And then you do an ultrasound to confirm, and then they see an orthopedist, and they go in what's called a Pavlik harness. So as the hips develop, they develop into the socket appropriately, and then they're fine down the road.
Okay.
They can still play soccer and whatever else. What does that have to do with the gumball machine?
Multiple food allergies. Who compulsively scratches herself. She's having closed hip reduction surgery, but may need more later. With my advanced age and her existing health conditions, should I risk another baby who could end up helping her when I'm gone? Or am I just compounding the issue with my bad genetics? Now, hold on.
Oh, that's a lot.
She's up in age. Wants to have another baby. As a caregiver to the kid who's got these problems. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. I mean, I think it comes down to if she feels comfortable and capable of taking care of another child. I don't think of hip dysplasia as a significant genetic risk, and allergies are genetic, but not the end all be all.
There's not a physical gumball machine. She says my 38-year-old quote unquote gumball machine.
Oh, she was talking about herself?
Yeah.
Oh.
Produced a neurotic baby girl.
Oh.
I thought that the baby was eating gumballs.
That's what I thought, and they were neurotic about like getting gumballs out of the machine. There's a lot of levels here. I think.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's really. Does she feel capable? I think maybe that's the question, right?
Well, you run into this where someone has a baby, a lot of problems, maybe with genetics, and they're like, "Oh, should we have another baby, or is that baby gonna have the same problem?"
There's genetic counseling. There's tests you can do in utero for things that have a large genetic concordance. The things that she's mentioning tend not to be the things that I would think of as significant genetic risk.
Got it.
I see this more as a psychological question. Does she feel overwhelmed? Does she feel capable of taking care of another child with anything? If anything, it doesn't have to be a medical thing.
Yeah.
Lots of things can come up with it. You have 2 kids. Lots of things come up. Are we capable of doing that? I think that's really the question. The gumball machine threw me. I was trying to put that. That's impressive. I am glad you picked up on the metaphorical gumball machine. That's impressive.
Never like heard anybody refer to themselves as a gumball machine, but
Nope.
throw me that.
What are you doing?
So for those of you at home, when it's time to go, we get this little ducky,
It's time for take a bath.
and that's our. What do you think? Is the rubber duck in the bath? Is that even a thing anymore?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thanks. Okay. I'm gonna end with this.
Yeah.
It's off the page.
Uh-oh.
Nah. My daughter's going through puberty and she's becoming more conscious of her body and appearance. She wants to start using makeup, deodorant, perfume, but I think she's too young for it. How could I help her develop good hygiene habits and self-esteem without exposing her to the harmful chemicals and social pressures? Appreciate your advice. So, your daughters
Are they that age?
and when is it appropriate? Are they using makeup, hairspray, whatever the hell it is? Are they doing all this stuff?
They are. And I think it does start earlier because they see their peers, doing it and they want to fit in. But I think it's okay. I think the bigger you make it a deal, the more people want to do things. So, within moderation, and there are rules at school about dress codes and what you can wear. So that, helps a little bit, but I don't have a problem with like the toxins in deodorant and perfumes and cosmetics. I don't want them, buying. I think the hardest thing, honestly, is everything they see on like Instagram by somebody is a product they want, and you just have no idea what those products are. So that's the things that concern me. But in general, I don't have a problem with it.
I do.
What, you do?
Yeah.
With all of it?
I have a problem with it.
Okay.
I have a problem with the early, again, and this goes with other parents. That's why we feel the social pressures, because other parents are giving into their kids. For example, someone gets an iPhone at 8 years old. Now everybody says
That I don't agree with, but
well, Julie's wearing, a thong,
right.
right? Yeah. Why can't I wear thongs? If that parent would say, hey, no, sorry, you're not wearing a thong at 10 or 11, whatever it is, then we wouldn't have, as parents, such a hard time. I feel growing up, everybody was on the same page.
But what's your cutoff? I agree. Fourth grade, I want to wear makeup and eyeliner. But I got an eighth grader and a 10th grader. So that seems more normalized, I guess.
I'm not saying, I'm talking younger than that. I'm talking, I'll give you an example. Serafina's in dance class.
Sure.
She wears like a tight, dance leggings. Okay, fine. But then she has a tight, sports bra, but it shows her belly, right? I told Lana, I go, get this shit off. 6 years old, she ain't wearing no fucking half top. She's like, well, it's part of the outfit. It's like, it's like if you go to gymnastic, you wear a leotard. Right.
This is her uniform.
This is her uniform. I said, yeah, but I don't want this to be like, oh, this is an option to go out to lunch.
Right. But there's a time and place.
Yeah, but I made it known to Serafina. I go, this ain't happening.
Half-tops.
Right?
No half-tops of the Ivy.
Yeah. And then she goes, okay, Daddy. I get, okay, Daddy.
Yeah.
But then again, that's 6 years of foundation I laid.
I get it. That's good.
To be able to say, we ain't doing that. I get, okay, baby. I don't get my son swearing and it beating the shit out of people.
Parenting by Sebastian Maniscalco.
All right. That's what you get
New York
here.
Times best-selling book coming out soon.
There you have it, Daddy versus Doctor. We are here for you, for your family. We got the doctor spitting off major medical advice. You got myself sprinkling in a little humor
Hip dysplasia.
Hip dysplasia.
Dysplasia. Say it 4 times fast.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
The opinions expressed in this program are not intended as professional medical advice, as a diagnosis, as a treatment protocol, or as a substitute for professional medical advice from your physician. Please consider your own medical history and consult with your own physician for your specific healthcare and/or medical needs and about your concerns for yourself and your family.